All right, guys, we are back for another jam-packed episode of 0 to 100,000 in real estate. We've got an incredibly special guest, somebody I've followed since I've come into real estate. Jon, welcome to the show.
Hello, how's it going?
Very good, very good. How are you?
Pretty good. Just
Excellent.
kicking off this morning, Friday morning. Excited for a busy weekend.
Heck yeah, of course, of course. And man, like I've been following you, so I know. But for people that jump on and also watch this afterwards, what's your story? What brought you into real estate? What got you to where you are today?
So I think I've been in real estate. I'm working on my 8th year in real estate now. I got into real estate. I was doing another job. The job was it was a job that I thought I could see myself growing into. I was a corporate. It was a restaurant management job. I started at the bottom as a dishwasher. I worked my way up to general manager. I liked it there at first, but I didn't. The grind. What I didn't like about that business is what you put in it, you didn't get out of it. So I could bust my ass all day. I could work 70, 80 hours a week. And at the end of the week, the store was still a disaster. And because the other management, other employees didn't care. So I had a passion to grow the business, but no one else with me, the general manager had no passion. Other people didn't have passion. So I said, I got to find something else that is going to help me where I can, whatever I put into the business, I'll get out of the business. And so I looked around, saw some other jobs. We ended up moving. We moved to Georgia. My wife was in a master's program there. And I said, I got to find something that's going to help me, help my family, grow my family. She couldn't work. She was in a master's. She was accumulating money, student loan debt. And I said, I got to find something that's going to help me grow my family. And so I took a job where I actually made about $10,000 less that year. And I went to property management and I helped grow that property management company. And then after that, the guy said, hey, it's going to take you, you just turned around my entire company. And this is not the business for you though. This is not, you're way too much. You're working way too hard for what you're getting out of this. I need you to become my buyer's agent. And I said, I don't know. I don't think that's for me. I need a steady paycheck. Give me a raise is what I told him. I was making $33,000 a year. I said, give me a raise. Give me $45,000. And he says, no. He goes, I'm going to make you a limited amount of money. You put in way too much money, way too much work, to make what you're making. And I can't even pay it because, it just doesn't make sense on my side. Yep. And so he said, in 6 months, you're going to become my buyer's agent and you're going to, train someone else, but you're going to be out of the business or I'm going to fire you. And I said, okay, I'll try it. I said, well, if it doesn't work out, I want to become your property manager again. He said, no problem. You'll always have a job with me, but you can make 30,000 or you can make a limited amount of money. And so I did it. And so it's just every day I came to the office, exactly what I did in property management, and I did it in sales. And I didn't know what I was doing. And he always laughed at me. He said, you're the most awkward agent I've ever saw. He's like, you don't know what you're doing. You have the mindset of, you're working at the restaurant and you didn't have the mindset of you're dealing with people who in that area, it was high military officers that we were selling homes to. And he said, you don't even know anything about the military. You don't know anything about the area. You don't know anything about homes. You don't know anything about construction. People ask you about questions you don't know any answers to. He goes, at the time I was still selling maybe 1 or 2 homes a month. That was in maybe month 1 and 2. And then out of nowhere, I said, I got to do homework. I got to find out what other people are doing. I got to find out what I need to do. And I worked literally, I got to the office at 8:30 in the morning and I'd leave at 8:30 at night, maybe later, for like 4 months.
Yep.
And I kept telling my wife, I'm building systems. And she says, well, what does that mean? And I said, you'll see soon. and what it was is I was calling, emailing, texting people all night. Didn't matter. Finding homes, searching for homes, doing whatever it took that I could get there. And finally, the showings start piling in. And so in the first 9 months, so my first closing in 2015 was in March, and I started maybe in middle of January. And so 2015, I did 28 closings that month or that year. And the GCI then, the average sales was about 200,000 then. And I made $87,000 that year. And then it just kept flowing in, flowing in. And agents that were on the team with us started falling out, because what they would do is they would hit their number for the month, or for the, hey, I want to get 2 closings or 3 closings in a month. And then they were gone.
Yep.
And so it opened up opportunity for me, because the leads are coming into a system and those agents are gone. So it was like, hey, free leads for me. Instead of going round robin, now I'm getting all the leads. Yep. And so I just, closing after closing. The biggest thing that hurt my business, though, is in 2016, and it was at the time, it was the biggest thing that hurt my business. In 2016, in April, my wife graduated PA school with over $100,000 in student loan debt. And she said, I cannot find a job anywhere here in Georgia. And it was the biggest month in my real estate career at that time. I had 8 closings that month, and I was going to net like $40,000 that month. It was setting up to close. And she said, we got to move back to Florida. She says, I can't find any jobs here. I'm seeing all these jobs in Florida. And I said, I finally made it. I finally did exactly what my goal was, to make what in 1 month, what I was making at Steak and Shake in a year. Yep. And I said, that's what I needed to do. And now you're saying I got to leave. And I said, I don't know. Think about it. Let's talk, and she was like, hey, I can drive an hour and a half each way to work, to go over to, we were in Savannah, to go over to Statesboro, to go to Jacksonville. I could go work every day for an hour and a half drive each way, if you think that's what we need to do. I said, no, happiness is more important for you. We can move back to Florida. And literally, I moved back to Florida, and I had to build my whole database again and build everything that I had known of real estate all over again. Yep. And that was probably a big setback for me. But what I said is it's just another hurdle in the business. And how can I overcome it? I'm going to do exactly what I was already doing. I built my business with this guy, Randy Bocook, back in, he's an EXP agent in Georgia. I'll do it again myself. And I got his knowledge, and he's been my mentor my entire real estate career. I'll do exactly what he did now. And he's not my, yes, we're working together, but we're not working against each other. We're going to work, and I'm going to do exactly what I did before. And so it pretty much, I just hit the books. My database back in Florida was people who were working at Steak and Shake. I said, maybe those people can buy, maybe they can't, but that I got to build a business of people of, what I want to look like, what I want to do, what type of buyer, what does my niche buyer look like, or my niche seller, my niche market look like, and how can I farm it? How can I cultivate it? How can I make it my market? And so that was a little bit of a challenge itself, learning how to come to a new market and becoming a player in the market while being brand new back into this business in this area at the time. So any questions so far?
Yeah, man. So like I love like the for this show in particular, like you've had to do this twice. And
yeah,
I feel like a really common thing, like this is geared for all agents, but it's also geared for new agents to come in, right? They're going from 0 to 100. And one thing that you've overcome was the mind state of the steady paycheck, the security, right? Because you learn that there's security in your effort, right? But what was it can you remember back in that mind state where he was great guy, by the way. Like, I want to hug this guy for you, right? Like, for real.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I'm sure that he had his bad sides or whatever, but like
sure.
this guy forced you to become who you are. Like, he didn't leave you an option, right? Like,
Right.
there was nothing in between. What went through your head as you were evaluating, like, going from I get a paycheck and I'm an employee to I'm all on my own. I'm 100% commission based. Like, what were some of the thoughts that you had to go through and overcome?
So really, my wife really helps me out because she's one that says she's a big risk taker, and the fact is she doesn't. She says, "Hey, whatever, it's God, really." But she's saying God's going to lead you. You know, you just got to follow and take a chance. And what's the worst that's going to happen? Is that I'm going to go back to Steak and Shake, right?
Love it.
I've already been to the worst. So it's not, it's only going to move forward, you know? I got, but what my grind was, is that I got to pay the bills. And if I don't pay the bills, I was struggling to make a $900 a month mortgage payment and HOA payment. And I said, is like, we were scrapping all of our money together and we bought a house and, you know, we got on the bond loan, we got everything. And my wife actually handled everything. I was working all day. And that was when we were in Florida and she was buying the home in Georgia. And she was like, you know, hey, we got to make $1,000. My goal was I got to make $1,500 a month. And now it's like, you know, and Randy would laugh. He would tell me, I was like, yeah, I got a closing today, $1,200. And he was like, bro, one day, and this is like the most fortunate thing he ever told me, and I still remember it. He said, one day that $1,200 check to you is going to be like, right now it's the biggest thing, the biggest check you've ever gotten. But one day it's going to be like, man, $1,200. And it's true. It's that whether it doesn't matter what you're looking at, though, is that you always got to have closings coming in. But $1,200 is what I needed almost to make my money for the month. But at $1,500 was what I needed to make. And at $1,500 a month, I didn't say, hey, I made $1,500. Now it's time to give up. It's that I got to say, what if I fail in the business? The market was just turning then. It was 2014, 2015. The market changed in 13. And I said, what if it has another dip in the recession? The change of presidency was coming up. We didn't know interest rates was at 3.25% then too. And we were saying ultimate low. The feds are going to raise rates and it's going to tank the real estate market again. And I said, I gotta have at least 6-month reserve so that if I'm out of the business in 6 months, I'm gonna be back at Steak and Shake, but I'm gonna have a little bit of cushion this time. But I said I gotta keep working. I gotta keep making as much money as I can right now until the market crashes. Yeah. And as I'm talking about this is exactly what we're saying now. We got to make as much money as we can right now, and if the market crashes. But if the market crashes, I'm not going to crash this time. The market is going to keep, people are still going to want to buy. People are still going to want to sell. People are still going to die. People are still going to be in foreclosure. People are still going to have short sales. That happened 6 months ago. People were still in foreclosure and the market was the best it's ever been. And you always say to yourself, why is there a foreclosure? Why is there a short sale right now? It's because there's a lot of unknowns. Yep. And the business allows you to have so many different revenues and so many different ways of selling real estate. There's not just buy and sell. It is buy and sell, but there's a lot of different ways. You don't just go on a listing appointment, get the listing, and that's it. There's probates, there's divorce, there's bankruptcies, there's, foreclosures. There's a lot of different niches that, could be a revenue, it could be an avenue that I take, could not be, but it might not be for me, but it might be for other people. And it's just the building of the business. It's the mindset of you got to keep working and you hit your goal, but what else can you go to? What, are you building the business for next month?
I've got a question here, and we're going to segue to the big question of the show, but I think I'm excited to put this one up here because I've kind of heard enough where I think I know what the answer is going to be, and I think it's going to be really good for Cindy to hear this. So Cindy said, what system did you use to get leads? Right. Then you can go about this. I personally, I think that when you came here to Spring Hill, I'd really like, I think that that's the better way to answer this one. Cause at the other one, you had direct mentorship with local area knowledge. Like when you came
Right.
here, what system did you use to get leads?
So, I didn't have a system. I had a system back in Georgia. We used Conversion Plus, which is now KV Core. I changed brokerages to a team, and for 2 months, I was on a team in South Tampa, and I was selling homes in Clearwater. And they didn't have they had all bad systems, I feel like. And so when I went back on my own, so I skipped out this part, and I'll get to the question here in a minute, is when I came to Florida, I joined a team for 2 months. And then I said, the team's not for me. It wasn't Randy's team. It's an awkward team. I got pushed off. I was working they said I was going to be working North Pinellas. So Palm Harbor, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, all that area. And I was going to work all the buyers. Instead, I got $90,000 buyers in Holiday, and the other agent was working $600,000 buyers in Palm Harbor. And my first check on the team after the split and all their other nonsense that they got is I got out of working this buyer in Holiday, I got $548. And I said, I did all that work for $500. And I just had a month in Georgia where I made 40 grand. I said, this is not, this isn't working out. This isn't going to happen. And I went out on my own, actually. And I said, all I know is buyers. I got to figure out listings. I used to watch Randy go on listing appointments. I was fortunate to go with him sometimes just because he wanted someone to go with him. But, he wasn't trying to teach me the business. He didn't know I was going to leave him. And so I listened to him, but I went out on listings and I failed a bunch of them, and I learned. But what I did is I looked at an area. I looked at my database, which was Facebook. I looked at my phone book, which was all Steak and Shake employees. And then I looked at where I wanted to go. Where was I going to live? Where was I going to eat? And I said, where I eat is where I'm going to live. And so we were buying a home too and everything. I bought in a neighborhood, and I literally pulled out the property appraiser card, and I printed out every single house in that neighborhood, and I wrote handwritten letters to every single person. And I said, I'm a new real estate agent here. I live here. I grew up here, and I want to earn your business. I'm here to help you. I know the market here, and I'm here, and let me be your agent when you're thinking about buying or selling. And I did that, and I got nothing. And I said, there was 300 people in that neighborhood. I wrote, I went to Walmart and bought out, 300 cards, and that failed. And I said, well, that didn't work. And then I said, well, what happens one time and never happens again? Nothing. You can't just send a card to one person and expect them that they're going to remember you forever. So a month later, I did the same thing. It didn't work. And then I did it again, and someone called me up and said, hey, you have the worst handwriting, but you keep sending me these cards. And I can tell that they're handwritten because they're totally different writing. They're smudged. They look like crap, but you keep sending me letters. And I actually talked to one of my neighbors, and you sent them a same card. And so we want you to come list our house. And I said, I was so nervous going to the appointment. It was the most nervous I think I've ever been. My hands were trembling because I was going to go list this $300,000 home. I've never been, I've never gotten a listing before. I went on a couple of appointments down in, Newport Richie, and I never got any listings. And now I'm going to go list a home, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And nervous and sweating, I got the listing. And so the thing was that I didn't have any systems. I didn't have any tools. I was at a different real estate company. They didn't offer anything. And I said, I got to figure out systems that I can take this idea and I can multiply. And how can I multiply it? By doing the same technique over and over and over at different markets. And so I can't write handwritten notes all day, but I hired my sister-in-law at the time she was in high school. I said, I'll pay $1 per card to write out all these cards. And I gave her a stack of addresses this thick. I said, go. And she did it. Boom, 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 boom. And she kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And so that was what first took me to where I needed to be. I was doing Facebook ads at the time back in 2016. Facebook ads, no one knew how to do them. I would manage them all myself. I would watch YouTube videos all day on how to grow the best real estate ads. I switched brokerages again, and I got Conversion Plus again, and I used that as my CRM. And I fed all my traffic from Facebook to my CRM, and that's how I did it. I do it, I've done it now since then, but I've never done any Zillow or Realtor.com or any big sites. Everything was Facebook or personal handwritten notes.
So like I had a feeling you were going to kind of get there, right? Like where like you were just you had to figure it out. And that's the one thing that I feel like makes you successful, right? Is that in your heart that when things get tough that you're going to figure it out. Do I need to shift what I'm doing here? What do I need to do? And Cindy, I don't know if Cindy could be a 20-year veteran that has a mega business, right? And that could just be a great question, but don't wait for anything else, right? Like your strategy right there of how can I earn your business? It was handwritten notes, but that one question, I don't care who I've ever asked that is just such a respectful question that you can ask somebody, and you can ask anybody that, right? Like it doesn't matter who you're talking to. I spoke to somebody yesterday as a $1.3 million house started thinking about listing in Wesley Chapel.
Yeah.
Pretty much first thing I asked him is, hey man, I just want to learn what would I need to do in order to earn your business?
Right.
We had a great conversation, right? Like I love that she asked that question though, because that's a lot of people want the perfect system. There is no perfect system. It's most of it's your hard work, and you can make it better and efficient over time. But I love it, man. I love it. We've already.
It's also, I'm sorry, I was going to say one thing. It's also that you can't expect that someone is going to hire you. Like you're saying, you got to say, how can I earn your business? I always let people know it's an honor for them to choose me out of all the other agents. There's a lot of great agents, yourself, a lot of other great agents in the area. And it's an honor that they chose me. It's not like it was expected or anything. I can sell homes for friends to family. It is expected, but my brother-in-law is in the business too. So it's like, it's an honor when they choose me. And I'm very gracious that every single deal that I get, I'm glad that I get it. Referral, anything, they can choose any other agent. And there's probably 10 other agents, 100 other agents that are better than me, or that are going to give them great service like I give them. And when they choose me, I want to let them know that I am very thankful for their business. So
I love it. And I see we've got 13 people on right now. We've actually kind of like Cindy's question really segued us. Like that was the perfect picture of your airdropped into a market that you know no one, right? Like this is, you came in from the hardest possible situation, right? Like you literally, like you came in, you were airdropped into a market. You were figuring out, this was before you had turnkey systems. That was like now, I mean, if you have KV Core, for instance, you literally click a button and you got Facebook leads, right? Like things have evolved so much now. And I love that you touched on a brand new agent. Don't spend your life savings on Realtor and Zillow right out the gate, right? Those are great, right? And they can work, but they also, depending on what your cost per lead is, you can actually lose. Like you can get to a 1-to-1 ratio and just it blows you out of the water. Like go hard on connecting deeply with people. Like when you send a handwritten note, That's personal, man. That's deep. Like that's something that not a lot of people are doing either. Anybody can do, but not a lot of people. I don't do it. I'll tell you that. That as you're saying that, I'm like, wow, like that's one strategy that's just gold that you hit them with. But I'd love to see if there's any other questions on here. We got 12 people on. It's a lot of fun when this is live and interactive like that. Um,
Ask away.
yeah, man. Anything there that like anything picking out in your head while they're asking away like that we haven't covered quite yet?
Yeah. So what I would say is I go to a lot of trainings now. I go to my office, has a lot of like training for new agents and stuff, how to do stuff, what is an as is contract, how to do a listing agreement, how to do all this stuff. But what I'm always thinking is if you want to be an agent, you want to succeed, you got to stand out. You got to be, I was the guy that was writing the handwritten notes, right? And they might have been getting flyers and stuff from every other agent, but they weren't getting handwritten notes from every other agent. And so, you know, what can you do? What I always say anything I do now is that if the training says to do this, I got to be above that because I want to stand out. How can I take that to the next level? How can I take, what everyone else is doing to the next level so that I can be on the top? I want to be in the top 10%. I want to be in the top 5%. I want to be in the top 20%. Whatever it is how can I be there? How can I learn it at a very high level? So if they're teaching how to run an ad, how can I run ads that it's going to make the most sense? How can I run the best ad? I'm not going to take I work at Keller Williams. How am I going to take the Keller Williams training tool that they use and say, hey, this is how you run an ad, and that's it? You got to take that and say, how can I make it perform at the best possible level? So what else? And I collect every piece of mail I get from every other agent in my neighborhood. I think a lot of agents know that I'm an agent and I get skipped a lot of times, which makes sense. But I'm fortunate that the house is under my wife's name first and then me. So when they look on the property card, they might miss it's John, they see Sarah. So, but I look at every piece of mail and I say, that's a nice piece of mail and I like it. How can I make it better? How can I just got that and my whole farm I have all my family members, they give me their mail too. And I say, that's a great piece of mail. How can I make it better? That's a great ad on Facebook. I'll take a picture of it. I'll screenshot it. I'll say, now I need to make it better. And so you can't do the same thing that I'm doing because if you're a new agent or what that James is doing, because if you're a brand new agent and you're competing against John and James and they say, hey, we see this guy that's doing a bunch and we got the same letter from John, James, and Sally. How's Sally going to stand out? Well, Sally has to do something better than James and I. And there's a lot of better ways to do it. It's just that you got to be thinking outside the box all the time and you got to put in the energy.
And, just to couple that, right? We got a couple of things here I want to pull up on the screen, but, I think what you're saying is that no matter what strategy that you perform, right, that you go with, as you get your feedback, right, like what is it that I can improve on, right? Reinventing the entire wheel, forget that, right? There's too many good things out there that you just gave a great strategy that can be airdropped in just about any neighborhood or area and then improve it over time, right? Does it make sense to include a picture of yourself? Does it make sense to include a QR code to your website? Like you can optimize what you're doing. I have one from Amaya, and forgive me if I said that name wrong, but I think that's probably it. Before I go to Amaya, I just want to give Cindy a quick challenge and something I would really love. Cindy, I love it. I love it that you were inspired here. If you could, when you write that first handwritten note, if you could take a picture and just drop it on my LinkedIn, like I would love to say like, hey, like this is what it looked like. This is what I wrote. I think that would be a great level of accountability too. And I love that you're going to go out there and crush it. And Amaya, so I'm going to leave this one over here.
Real quick, can I show her? She's sending out postcards. My postcard now, I said, I'm going to grab this off my desk real quick. 1 second.
Yeah.
I said, all right, here's some quick ones real quick. So I said, I want to send out postcards and I want to make them stand out, right? And so I sent out all these right here, all these postcards, and they were 6x11, and they would just say, like, this one's a good one. Our goal is to provide you quality results. History show we deliver. Whether you're selling or buying a home, we're here for you for all your real estate needs and solutions, right? That's what this one said. And then I said, that one wasn't good enough. So I went to a bigger one, right? And I got this one. This I just sold. I don't know what it says. I sold $13 million that year, right? And then I said, I got to even get a bigger one. And now I got this one. It's even bigger, right? And I just keep making them bigger because I want them to stand out. So it's that, are you standing out between everyone else? Are you just selling the same thing everyone else is selling? How's your postcard? Because postcards will sell homes too. And it's a cheaper way to do it is, what does your postcard look like versus everyone else's postcard?
Yes.
That's the thing. And when are you sending it out? So I used to send out on every just listed and every just sold. And then I said, if I'm never going to send them out anything else, is the just listed, especially the just sold, even going to help my business? Or am I just wasting my money? Because I could go sell to a neighborhood. I don't know. I'm going to think of a neighborhood that I've never sold one home in, Connerton. And I'm going to say, I'm going to go get a listing there, and I'm going to go work a buyer, and I'm going to send a just sold postcard to that neighborhood. And then I'm never going to send them else anything else ever again. There's probably a half a, I don't even know what the statistic is.
You likely just threw the money away. Right?
I just threw the money away on the print and then the mailing. And what way are you mailing it? Are you mailing it by route? Are you mailing it to the street? Whatever it is I probably just threw money away because I'm never going to help them out ever again. I'm never going to call them because I just want to let them know I sold a home. But if I'm not going to try to cultivate that entire area, I'm throwing the money away. So strategically thinking is, I have 7 different areas that I send stuff consistently to. And then I started with 2. And then I said, I'm going to do 3. And then I'm going to do 4. And then, it just kept growing and growing and growing. Sometimes I say, well, now I'm sending out too many areas that I can't manage myself. I'm going to cut back on some of the areas. And I send maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks, whenever it is. I just keep sending them stuff over and over and over because I know I got to be in their face, because they might not be thinking about real estate now, but in a month they might be thinking about real estate. And so I want to be in their face when they're thinking about real estate. So it has to be consistent.
I love it. And I'm going to shift here for Amaya. I think this is a great question. I'm a brand new agent with my first open house tomorrow. Congrats, girl. I love it. I love that you're out there and you're doing the work. What do you suggest to stick out and receive the best turnaround?
Turnout.
What was it?
The best turnout.
Turnout. Yeah, not turnaround.
So what I always push to my agents is get as many signs as possible. Don't put 4 signs on the ground and expect 500 people to show up. 4 signs, you got to put, if there's a turn and it's the smallest turn, you got to put 5 signs up. If as many signs as you can afford, as many signs as you have, put them all out. Never think that there's too little or, hey, the sign might get stolen. It might get stolen. Signs get stolen all the time, but that $5 might get you, $5,000. So, and really just, I don't know, know the home and know the area around it. So the home might not sell, but you might be able to sell them something else around there. So know what's available and know how your open house home is gonna be different or stand out between the rest of the homes in the neighborhood.
I'm going to add just 2 things to that. One was what you said earlier, right? So a lot of times they're coming in, when somebody comes into an open house, I think for security purposes, like, you really should have them sign in. I think you should know that who these random strangers were in somebody else's house. And you can talk about that in a lot of ways. Like, hey, the seller's asked us to keep a register of everybody that comes in. But then like let them walk through the house, right? Like let them,
Right.
don't be right up on their shoulder. And when they come back out, what were your takeaways? What did you like about the house? What didn't you like about the house? And the wrap of that is what you said earlier. Out of curiosity, what could I do to earn your business in the future? Right. And the second strategy that I want to challenge, if you're doing this open house tomorrow, Amaya, if you do this, you're in the 1% and you're going to see an instant turn just by this one strategy. You're going to door knock the 5 to 10 houses this way, the 5 to 10 houses this way. You're going to knock on every single one of those doors and you're going to say, hey, my name is Amaya. I'm your local realtor here. I'm actually doing an open house for one of your neighbors. I wanted to invite you by. I've got some a couple of sodas and waters and some cookies, and I'd love to just get to know you a little bit more because you're right here inside of my neighborhood. You do that, and you've stood out from the likelihood another realtor has done exactly that on that street is like zero. Like it is so low. And now you've had everything we're doing is to get face to face and have an interaction, right? You have gotten the opportunity to put an impression on them. You can give them a business card. You can connect with them. Who knows? They might even right there and open up to you like, hey, yeah, like we've actually been thinking about selling too. Great. Hey, is it okay if I swing by after the open house? I want to make sure I invite all the neighbors and I'll come back here right after the open house if that's okay with you. If you go with that strategy, girl, you're going to crush it.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it. I love it. We got some, this is my favorite part, man. Like, I love when we can like interact with people and like really just being vulnerable, like asking questions. This is what it's all about. Like I was a new agent too, and I was fortunate to have somebody to ask. And sometimes people don't have anybody to ask, or they don't know who to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this right here. Looks like the broker for ARC gave you some props on something you said earlier. So true. As a licensed professional, your skills must be diverse. I agree 100% with what you said. You got to be able to shift. You got to know what you're going to do next and understand that. Be resourceful is really what that comes down to.
Exactly.
If anybody's got any more questions, we'll drop it in here. We got about 7 minutes left. I got to leave here right at 10:45 because I got to go out to Glen Lakes. But man, dude, this has been fun. Like,
yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping on. I know that this takes, you got a busy man. It's a lot of time out of your day, and my hope is that we create some impact here, right? Like Cindy's able to come up with a strategy that will help her win. Same for Amaya. Like that's what it's really about.
So I would say that while we're waiting for other questions, is that really we gotta think. This is a business where you can make an unlimited amount of money, and to see agents that come and go is that it hurts my heart, honestly, because I'm thinking is that they either didn't have two things. They didn't know what questions to ask, or they didn't have someone there to help them out. Because I was a new agent. You were a new agent as well. We were all new agents at one time. Either we were born into it, where we're in a dynasty of family, and our parents were title agents. We were title agents. We were already in the business, right? Those are the people that are kind of spoiled into the business.
Yeah.
You and I are in the business of, we got here by a dream, right? And now, we had the right people who were making the right questions, or we asked the right questions, and we were able to grow. But it's that, if you put in, it's not a 40-hour-a-week job. It's not, it's not a job where you have to punch a clock. So a lot of people I see struggling that say, I'm tired. I don't want to wake up. Right. And so they sleep until 10, and then they get up and go to the office at 11. And then they say, it's a little bit rainy today. I want to go home, 2:00. And that was their day, 11 to 2. And so they're probably not going to make it. If that's a habit that happens every day, you got to look at it and say, I got to work at least 9 to 5 every day. You got to take maybe 1 or 2 days off. Some days when I was doing the business, I didn't take any days off. I worked every day. Maybe I took off a half a day on Sunday. I went to church, whatever. Then at 2:00, I said, hey, babe, I got to go to the office. What I said is, we're in a business where we're working for other people. So days off usually meant Tuesday and Wednesdays if it was a day off, because we got to take a day off. We're working when other people are not. We're showing houses on the holiday weekend. We're showing houses on weekends. We're showing house at night. We're showing houses when people are not working. If they're retired, great. It's 2:00 in the afternoon, which is more ideal. But if they're a working family, if they're working 9 to 5, we're showing homes either before 9, which is very unlikely, or after 5:00. We're showing houses on nights, weekends, holidays. Holidays are great. What I tell all my buyers agents, all my agents in general, everyone, is if it's a holiday weekend, we are working all day. We should be showing houses all weekend long. People have a 3 or 4 day weekend. That just means an extra day that we can pump in another deal, another sale. Anything else to add to it real quick? I know you got to go. I don't want to go.
No. I was looking up because I had a feeling I wasn't going to be able to answer Amaya's question entirely. And Amaya, you're welcome right there. I see you're on YouTube. There's a Calendly link for me. Like, feel free to jump on a 15-minute call with me. I can help you get some direction on this, but this is like a mega question. Like, this is something that can't be answered in short fashion. I will say that it sounds like you're already doing it, because it's not about how to get the most leads, right? Because you want to get the most leads, go get the phone book and literally start calling out of the phone book, right? Like, there's every lead that's inside of your area is right there in the phone book. But how do you get the highest quality leads, which I love that you're already doing the open house, right? Like, I don't know if that's your listing or if you sought that out or it was offered to you, but like, that's a pretty high quality lead. Somebody who is going out of their way to walk into a house that they don't know, and they're going to see a real estate agent. They kind of know that, like, you're face to face and you have the chance to impress them. Now, when it says a limiting belief that we've all had is that I'm brand new, I have no track record, no stats. Like, John touched on this earlier. We've all had that. What I can say to you is no local market knowledge, right? Like, if there's something they don't like about this house, what house nearby might fit what they're actually looking for, and offer them like, hey, look, like, I'm going to be at this open house for the next 2 hours, but I think there's a house around the block here that I'd really like you to walk through and see if this is a fit for you. Are you guys going to be in the area here in about an hour?
Yeah.
Right. Literally add value to their lives. The 4 things we're really trying to do is we're trying to initiate, which you're doing. You're crushing it, right? You're going to the open house. You're initiating. Now you've got to connect beyond surface level. And once you connect beyond surface level, you'll be able to identify their problem, right? So walking in an open house, their problem is that they're not finding a house yet, and this one didn't work. So to solve that problem is how you really become sticky to them. Because if you can be the person that's solving people's problems, that's when money exchanges hands, is when you solve their problem.
And real quick, what I always use is the 3 rules of when someone's going to work with me too, or if I think that they're going to work with me or I'm going to work with them, whichever, is that they need to buy a home, they want to buy a home, and they want to use me. And so if they don't need to buy a home, then it's not going to be a really good lead for you, because it's going to be like a hobby for them. So you gotta kind of pick and choose, the area, the buyers. So when you say is how do you get the most amount of leads, you want the best leads. You don't want the most leads, because the most leads might be, you're going to become a tour guide is what I say. You're going to show them all the homes and wherever you live, all the homes in your market, and then they're never going to pull the trigger. So they have to find a home. They need a job relocation, or they're getting their lease ends or whatever it is. So
I love it, man. I love it. This has been a ton of fun. Yeah, man. This year we'll do this again sometime.
Yeah.
I know your time is valuable. You're the man, dude. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Anything you want to finish them off on? What do you want to leave them on?
Really, I would just say is that, be able to stand out above everyone else, or make it your impact, whatever it is. You want to go focus on your church, you want to go focus on your neighborhood, you want to go focus wherever it is, but be meaningful and make an impact, and be able to stand out above everyone else, and never be Never not want to put the energy into it. Be always, you gotta put in what you get out. So you can't work 11 to 2 every day and expect to make 100 grand. Maybe at some point that might happen. You might be, when you're a 7th level agent or something like that. But if you're in the grind every day, what you put in is what you're going to get out.
I love it, man. I love it. That's the way to leave them. Have a blessed day. Goodbye, everybody. You'll see us next week right here. I think I'll be live because I'll be in Dallas. And go out there and crush it, y'all.
Great. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.